Hey everyone, Lisa Chastain here for another episode of Real Money. And today I've got a special guest, Denna Atkinson. She is 71 years old. She is coaching in my world. She became a money coach just a few years ago after having her own financial transformation. We're going to talk about starting over in your 60s. And Denna's words, it's not ever too late and you're never too old. Let's dig in. Hey.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome. Welcome back, actually. So
Yes.
you were one of my first guests. So if you want to know Denna's whole story, you can go back to one of our earlier episodes on Real Money and listen. I don't think we have that episode on video, but we do have that as a part of the podcast series.
Correct.
We're talking about how Denna grew up, her life, her 3 divorces.
Yes.
Yes. Nothing to be ashamed of.
No,
we're not going to. What?
It happens.
You did.
Yeah.
It happened. So we're not gonna go through Denna's whole story today. We're gonna start with where Denna is now and all of the lessons that she has learned and why she has decided to become a money coach. Yeah.
Yes.
So let's start with we're just gonna start right in and dive right in that you actually took a Dave Ramsey course.
I did.
When was that?
That was shortly after I moved to Las Vegas. I think I'd been here for maybe 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And I had a friend that was taking Dave Ramsey, and her mother was taking Dave Ramsey, and it was at one of the churches, and one of the churches that I go to. And so I was like, she's like, come and take this with me. So I did. I did.
Okay. Did you go all the way through?
I did. I went all the way through.
Mm-hmm. What was your life like at that time?
It was a mess.
What does that mean?
I was living paycheck to paycheck, wasn't making enough money, trying to figure out what was next, where I was going to go.
Why did you decide to move to Las Vegas?
Well, when I was in Utah, and that was during the savings and loans closed or shut down. So when the FSLIC came in and took over all the savings and loans.
Okay.
Bad year. And so the same night that the FSLIC walked in and closed us down to count everything out, the guy that I was dating was transferred to Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. So when he picked me up from work, and I said, I might have like a year left. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, then you need to move to Minneapolis. So I did.
Did you?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah. So, so we packed up. This was like in the fall, and by December I was packed up and I was moving to Minneapolis.
What year?
This was probably 88. Okay.
All right.
So I got to Minneapolis. I'm in Minneapolis for a couple of years, and all of a sudden, and I'm working along, and everything's going fine, and making friends and doing the thing, and it's way too cold, and that part I don't like. But then I was laid off, and I started cleaning houses. Just to make ends meet. And then my daughter graduated from college, and then my son took off on his journey, and just, it was an ugly scenario. And I had a girlfriend from Utah that had moved to Las Vegas the same time I moved to Minneapolis. And she said, why are you staying there? Well, I didn't have a reason, so I moved to Las Vegas.
Nice. That's how most people end up in Vegas. Yeah. You think you're just going to be here to figure some stuff out, and 30 years later, you're still here. 25. What? So I'm not going to do the math in my head on the show, but yeah.
Well, and there was another cool thing that happened. She invited me here to visit. So I came to visit her over President's Day. And this was in 1991. So I came to visit her, except for the weekend. It was 72 degrees. Her girls were swimming in the pool. It was awesome. I actually got a couple of interviews while I was here. So on the plane ride back, because this is what we do sometimes when we're in trouble and we don't know what's happening, I made these bargains with myself that the first person that called me got me.
Okay.
Because I'd been applying for jobs in Minneapolis as well.
Okay.
So I get back home, and first thing on my voicemail was, it was an answering machine back then. So it was an answering machine.
Yeah.
Was a call from First Interstate Bank here.
Gotcha.
So I'd already made the decision I was going to show up. So I did. I moved here, went back in for another interview. They had a hiring freeze.
No. Yeah. That was the time back then.
Yeah, it was the time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So bank to bank to bank.
Yes.
And you're in a hiring freeze again. So they didn't end up hiring you.
They didn't end up hiring
So you're
me.
in Las Vegas.
Yes.
You thought you had a job. You don't
Didn't
have a job anymore. And all along this time, so again, not to go all the way deep into your story, but you were financially just highs and lows, in and out. You had cash flow. You didn't have cash flow. You knew how to make things work, but not a real solid financial foundation.
No. And I moved here with my tax return.
Okay.
So I had a little bit of cash, so I brought my tax return. You'll love this part. I brought my daughter's cat because she was in a department. She couldn't have the cat. So I brought the cat with me. The first week I was here, the cat got in a cat fight and it was $300 vet bill out of my,
out of your little
reserve. That was, so there was a little bit of panic there, but I had good friends. I was living with my friend. So that gave me time to find a job, get myself together, get in an apartment of my own, and then start figuring out what's next in my life.
Okay. And during this time was a time that you were at a church and you decided to take a Dave Ramsey course.
No, this was a little bit later. So it was probably 4 or 5 years later.
Okay.
After I'd got into my own apartment and everything was going fine. But I'm working 3 jobs. I'm working a job in nonprofit. I'm cleaning office buildings and I'm doing house cleaning on the side just to build up where I wanted to be.
And you're in your 40s-ish?
Yeah, probably, yes, mid-40s.
Okay, so you're in your 40s. You're making things work. Vegas wasn't too expensive to live at that time.
No.
And then let's fast forward then. So you find yourself in a Dave Ramsey course. And I know from your story that you have had you've had money, you haven't had money. You've had money, you haven't had money. You never really had a solid foundation. No one to teach you.
Ever.
So you learned how to make it work and you learned how to have a good network and live job to job, paycheck to paycheck.
It was trial and error. One of the really funny things is I would hear things on financial programs and people would say stuff like, you can't live in the red forever. And I'm like, I'm almost 50. Yes, I can. I've been doing it.
I'll show you.
Yeah, I'll show you. I've been doing this.
Okay. So you get into this class. What did you learn? What was your experience like?
So my experience was that everything that I had been doing all my life and everything that I was doing currently was wrong. And I was wrong. And the angst and just the feeling like there was something wrong with me and I didn't know what I was doing, the angst that I was feeling and the anxiety that it brought up was horrific. So and I couldn't wrap my mind around it because it's like, how am I even going to live? I don't know how I'm going to live and do this.
And do this specifically. What was this?
Pay off everything. Just get everything paid off. There's no debt. All of those types of things. And, you and I have talked before. And the one thing that resonated with me was to have at least a minimum of $1,000 in an envelope that you could draw from. So that was the first thing that I started doing. It was the only thing that stuck for me. It was the only thing that worked for me and gave me calmed that anxiety, gave me some peace.
Okay.
That at least I had a little bit of cash reserves put in a drawer somewhere.
But you didn't at that time feel like or believe that it was going to be possible for you to stop your life and just live to pay off all of your debt. Do you remember how much debt you had at that time?
I don't remember how much debt. I don't think that it was a lot, but I was still living from paycheck to paycheck. And so it was like by the time I got paid again, it was gone. It was replenished.
It was gone. Yeah. And so from that class, you never learned how to break the paycheck to paycheck cycle.
No.
Okay. And I know that's one of the reasons that clients come to us now.
It is.
Is it that at large, up until about 5-6 years ago, from my own knowledge, there really weren't a lot of money coaching programs out there. And he definitely still to this day has the loudest voice of like, if you want to be smart with money, if you want to be good with money, you have to do these things. And I know for me, it never landed. It never landed. No. I saw his budget worksheets and I heard, I saw the baby steps. And honestly, I was like, I'm not fucking doing that.
Well, exactly. And here's the other thing about that. You see the budget, you see the baby steps and all those things. And I put budgets together. I have tried to put budgets together ever since that class and tried to live in those budgets. invariably what happens when you're in a budget, and this is what I found myself doing, I would budget right down to the penny, and I could see the light of day from the budget until the car broke down or something else happened, or one of my kids needed something. And my kids were older at that point in time, but it was like the budget never worked because I was never budgeting for the emergency other than that $1,000 envelope, which that doesn't accommodate everything that might happen in your life.
It doesn't. And then you use it, or you have to use it, and then you have to replenish it. And it just feels like a yo-yo or a back and forth.
And then you're right back in that same scenario where now not only am I trying to pay off everything else and I'm trying to live from paycheck to paycheck, but now I've got to build back up $1,000. And it just, to say overwhelmed is an incredible understatement.
Overwhelmed, and then top of that, some emotional abusiveness of you're stupid, you
I'm
can't
worthless,
do this, you
and I can't figure this out. And now I'm getting into my 50s, and I had just completed my degree. So what does that degree do for me? Because I'm still stupid. I can't figure out my money. What the hell?
What the heck? Okay, you got your degree in what?
Organizational management. So I have a master's degree in organizational management.
So you're a smart woman.
Yeah.
Well, we know. Of course you are.
Or at least my grade, my report card said I was.
You are, but you had to go into student loan debt to do that.
I did.
Okay, I'm painting a picture for the audience right now because this is a common experience for women.
Yes.
For women in America, is that we get past the child rearing age and we want to reinvent ourselves.
Yes.
I have so many clients who've done this, and you go back to school.
Yeah.
And I think it was a good move on your part. It opened a lot of doors.
Absolutely.
But you wouldn't have been able to do that had you not taken out student loans.
You're right.
How would you have paid for school without student loans? Because what were you doing for work at the time?
So my very first real job after I got here, I had a couple of jobs that they were okay jobs. It's like you made a little bit of money, but I was still cleaning houses and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So my very first real job was in nonprofit, and it was a Southern Nevada Area Health Education Center. So that was a steady paycheck. It was a good job. It was one that I could work from. What had happened with that, and one of the reasons I went back to school, was the executive director at the time said, "You're never going to go anywhere without a degree."
Yep.
And I believed her.
Yeah.
Why
wouldn't you?
And I wouldn't have. And that's turned out to be true. The problem was that I still had to take out student loans. So then it was incurring more debt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Putting just, pile on the shame.
Yes.
From that framework, pile on the shame. Mm-hmm.
So after I get the degree, I realized, okay, so now I have to step up my game. Wasn't sure I could make good money in nonprofit. So I opted to go back out into the corporate world. Yeah. So I did for a couple of years.
What'd you do?
So I was with a place called TPM Financial.
Okay.
So here we are with money again. Mm-hmm. And this was, I don't know that I can remember what year this was. One of the things that was happening was we were in one of the market downturns. So they were buying up distressed assets. Mm-hmm. They would hold them, service them, and then sell them for a profit. Mm-hmm. So I was actually in the accounting department.
Okay.
During that time.
It's way easier to manage other people's money.
It's way easier.
Way easier. Way easier. It is. It just is. Yeah. Okay. Because your money, when it's your money, and I'm just talking to the listener right now, you have to know, and I know you're here because you've been a part of the show, and if this is your first show, you're going to hear this maybe for the first time, but go back and listen and rewatch some of these things, because we talk about this all the time on the show, is when it's your money, it's so close. And we're going to talk about NLP later in the show, that the same person, because of our belief systems, because of our backgrounds, because of our decisions that we've made about ourselves, our limiting decisions.
And our belief systems and
all of those things, that the same person that created all the problems that we have in our lives, hello, it's me, Taylor Swift, the problem. It's me.
Here I am. I did this.
I'm the problem. It's me. It's not, you can't get yourself out. No. You can't fix yourself. I have clients come to me like, I've been trying to coach myself. You can't coach yourself out of this stuff because you can't see it a lot of the times.
Well, and here's another point, Lisa. Mm-hmm. We are so much in victim mode. And I've always really tried to not be a victim and take responsibility for my choices. But at some point in time, when it just feels like nothing is working and you keep going into debt to get farther, get farther, you're like, what is going on here? Yeah. And then you start feeling yourself in that victim mode, like you just can't get out. You can't see your way out of that.
Yeah, it's really impossible. I think in a lot of ways you need other people to help you do that.
Yes.
So, you've been in the finance industry now. Rewind. You were in the finance industry. You were working at banks.
Yes.
You were working for financial companies.
Yes.
And then you moved into the nonprofit world and then back to the financial side of the world. And I think this is it's a testament and really a parallel for other people in the finance industry and in the banking world too, where they bring me out to speak to their people.
Yes.
Because just because you're in the industry doesn't mean you know how to fix your stuff.
It doesn't. And I want to add that even as a part of nonprofit, because I was always in nonprofit management and eventually executive director, I was still responsible for their finances. Yep. So I have been in budgets and financing and creating budgets my whole life.
Yeah. And there's this moment, and this is when we met. We met originally like 2014, 2015, but then you had decided to come to one of my financial events.
I did, because I was a hot mess.
Yeah. Well, we all can all relate to that. But it's that there's a point where you try the Dave Ramsey class, or you go to another financial site and you try to fix it on your own, or you read all of the books. And clients come to us now all the time where you get to a point where you're like, why can I not figure this out? Why can I not fix myself?
Right.
I should know better. Yeah. But at the same time, as a professional woman, as an executive director of a nonprofit, not just you, who else needs to hear this today, right? That
so many people.
You have to play externally that you have it together.
Yes.
And that you're getting paid well enough and that your life is working. Otherwise, how can people trust you?
Exactly.
And it's this really difficult and challenging paradigm in the money industry.
Yes.
That there's this picture that anything other than debt-free, anything other than living in, the top of the hill, and anything other than this, and this, that you are not successful,
and you're not enough. Something's wrong with you. Yes.
It's crippling.
It is.
Our country. It's crippling our country, and women in particular. That is why this show is here, because it is so difficult to get out of that conversation without the right support.
And Lisa, you know that when I first went to your weekend boot camp, I was crippled. I was to the point where, and there are going to be thousands of women that's going to relate to this. I would wake up in the middle of the night with so much anxiety that I would wake up in the morning nauseous, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get through the day today. I could not see my way clear of anything. It was just like the panic was unreal. My sleep was interrupted. My days were interrupted. There was not much joy in my life when I first started working with you.
Yeah.
Externally, I would try to play that off.
Yeah, you wouldn't know.
So I don't think many people knew that. But when I went home, and what would happen when I was at home was, it was crippling. It was paralyzing.
What specifically? So you were 66? Which I try to do math on this show. In my brain. I don't know why.
66, somewhere around there.
66.
For as good as we are with numbers, I'm absolutely not good with years and the other stuff. Yeah, 65, 66, somewhere right in there.
And I don't think that you would have come if you hadn't have known me previously, like with some of the work that we had done through the coaching program that we had been through.
Well, and remember, because I was going along okay, and I finally landed a job where I was making six figures, so I was feeling okay. And then, so it was 65 because I was laid off from Plan A without a Plan B. So that was the final blow where I was just like, I should probably just lay down and quit right now, because I can't see any other way out. Because now I don't have a job. I'm still not old enough for Social Security. I don't really want to go back to work.
Yeah.
I'm 65 years old.
What am I going to do?
Yeah. What am I going to do?
The largest population of homeless people in America growing today is women over 50.
Yes. Yes, it is.
65, out of a job, Finally, you're like, I can't, I have to do something. And so we had a conversation. You came to my 3-day event.
I did.
What did you learn? What was different for you than the Dave Ramsey course? And one of its timing in life, I get that.
It was.
But what was different for you from that experience?
The other thing that was really, really different for me was when you asked me, and you know, this is one of the things that I tell all of my clients, and I talk to everybody who knows I'm a coach. Mm-hmm. This was the aha moment. So you had me put my monthly budget, my monthly expenses together, and what I spent on groceries and what I figured I spent on gas, retail, all that kind of stuff. And I said, well, I don't spend much because I don't have much. And now I don't know what I'm going to do because I've got a little bit of unemployment here for a while, but I've got to figure out what I'm going to do next to get me to what's next in my life. And so I put it all together and I showed it to you while I have a cup in my hand of specialized coffee.
To be nameless.
To be nameless, but it was my habit. It was my addiction at the time. And you said, how much do you spend on that a month? And I said, well, it's just my change, or and I am minimizing this and playing this off. Mm-hmm. So you said, go back and look at it. Well, I did go back and look at it. Mm-hmm. And that alone, that coffee bill alone for that 1 month that we decided to start tracking was close to $400. And I really want to say it was over $400. So,
and that was a few years ago, and now the prices have just gone up. So about $400 a month.
Yes, and that was in 2016, 65, whenever that was. But so that was a long, long time ago, and that was the money I was spending. Then what that did for me, so this brain of ours that minimizes what we spend, now all of a sudden I started scrutinizing what was going through my account, and I started paying attention to the other mindless, and can I say shit? Mm-hmm. The other mindless shit that I was spending money on that doesn't seem like a big deal, because when you go through the week and it's like it's Monday and I'm going to go get a cup of coffee, and then I'm going to go do this, and then I'm going to do this. And it was just like, I figured out that there was probably close to $800 a month I was spending that I wasn't tracking and that I had no idea. And it was going to stuff that absolutely did not serve my life and it didn't bring value to my life. It was just boredom and anxiety and all that kind of spending.
Yeah. 95% of our purchasing decisions are in the subconscious.
Yeah.
What do you think was going on for you subconsciously at that time? One is our brain's going to block out things that don't feel very good. That's the unconscious mind's directive, is to lock that, shut that down.
Yes.
But for you, it was mindless spending, but it doesn't mean that you're stupid. It doesn't mean that you're being reckless. What was going on, do you think, knowing what you know now back then?
So knowing what I know now and looking back on it, one of the things I believe was happening was the same thing that happens with any type of addiction, because I kind of look at money and that coffee and all that kind of stuff. It makes us feel better in the moment. And so when I'm living with those high level of anxieties, I'm waking up in the middle of the night, not knowing how I'm possibly ever going to live. I've already outlived any money that I've got saved. So what am I going to do? I'm only 65. What am I going to do for the rest of my life? How am I going to make this happen? That anxiety is so crippling. So the only thing that makes you feel good is you go buy a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Or you go buy something that you don't need, or that is just completely useless for your life. But in that moment, and it's the same thing as an eating addiction or an alcohol addiction or any other thing that we turn to make us feel better in the moment.
Yeah. And to in some ways justify that we're okay.
That I'm okay. I'm not stupid because I can't go buy this. I can't do that.
I can do that. I'm making it happen.
I'm making it happen. Yeah.
All right. So big light bulb moment for you was the tracking.
Yes.
And a very simple exercise. It was like, just go audit what you make, what you spend, what you keep. And then part of that was that we were in a group dynamic.
Yes.
And also there was homework for the event. So come back, take the first step.
Yes.
And let's talk about it, and then take the next step. What changed for you? What transformed for you as you started on this journey? Because that wasn't the last time we saw each other. We kept working together.
Right.
But what for you was that big change maker?
So starting to track my money was probably the biggest change, because then I got to see week to week, and it would be really eye-opening to me. And sometimes it was actually a little bit nauseous, a little bit nauseating, because all of a sudden I would look at it and go, oh, I did it again. I wasn't paying attention. So that was a big aha moment, and that kind of changed. But the other thing that kind of changed was mindset. And Lisa, I've thanked you 1,000 times for saying, you don't have to live like this. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What has to happen? And we talked about coaching, and I'd picked up another job for an organization that will, again, stay
it's all good.
nameless.
Yes, you did. You did pick up another job.
Yeah. But it was another job that was in the coaching arena. And so I was closer to it. I wasn't getting paid for coaching. I was getting paid for admin things. But I was still doing side coaching, and I was volunteering. And that made a big difference to me, because all of a sudden I started seeing that I could make a difference in somebody else's life. And at the same time, while I was making a difference in their life, I was making a difference in my life. So there were some big aha moments, but they were very gradual. But it all started with looking at and making myself look at my money. And it wasn't every week at first. I'd like to say that it was. But at first it was once a month, and then I would look at it and I'd go, damn it, you did it again. And so it was knowing, and then being aware that all of a sudden the anxiety is there, or the boredom is there, and I want to fix it by spending money.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So one of the first things that we do, what Denna's speaking into, is one of the first things that we do in our world when a client starts working with me or you, or joins one of our programs, is we don't attach it to rules.
No.
We don't attach it to have-tos.
No.
We don't attach it to, you have to do it this way. And if you don't, you're not doing
Something's
it right.
wrong with you.
Yeah. We try to modulate it and modify it based on someone's preferences, but we're just going to ask you to simply track your money.
Right.
And then the spending account, which took you a minute to figure out, but you did finally have the spending account.
That took me longer than a minute.
Move your money, separate it out. There's resistance to that.
Talk about resistance. Oh my gosh. I was completely resistant to that for months. Yeah.
Yeah. Just because
I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Yeah. Yeah. So once you did, though, you do it now, and it's really worked out for you. But we just want you to look at your money.
Yes.
We just want you to get into relationship with your money.
Yes.
We want to teach you as a listener how to make financial decisions for yourself.
Right. And
decide what's a priority, what's a non-negotiable for yourself.
And I want to add, and this is going forward a little bit, we'll go back, but this is going forward to some of the clients I have now. And I'll run into that same thing. We'll get on for a meeting, and they will immediately start defending something that they've spent or something that they've done.
Yeah.
And it's really important to make that point.
Yeah.
I'm not in judgment of anything that you spend or anything that you want to spend.
Right.
Just it's awareness.
That's it.
It's just looking at it and knowing that that's what you did.
Yeah.
And where do we go from here?
That's
where
it.
do you want to go next?
Let me give you the mirror to your life.
Yeah.
Let me be the mirror to your life. And from that neutral place, I get the same thing. People are like, I have a confession to make. Or
they do. They do that.
Yeah. I have a confession to make. I really didn't want to tell you. And I'm like, yo.
Yeah. Or I needed to do this and this happened, and I had to do this, and it's all good.
Okay.
It's all good.
Let's just figure out how that worked itself through. What did you learn from it?
Right.
And by just simply tracking your money and making meaning of it for yourself.
And now we started another strategy because now we know we've got this added. So let's strategize, let's re-strategize and look at where we pull that from.
Yeah. So you and I are working together. You're tracking your money. You're figuring it out for yourself.
Right.
You're having your own ahas like, oh, this isn't working for me anymore. I want to change this.
Yes.
I think that's a really powerful distinction, that there's no one telling you you have to do it a certain way, that in this journey, you're looking at it and going, I'm done with this.
Well, and here's the hysterical part. When I finally got my brain wrapped around 2 accounts. That was hard. That was really difficult.
Yeah.
When I finally did that, and I want to say that was probably 6 or 9 months later.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it just fell into place and it made so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, that was a legitimate question. What is wrong with you?
Not me,
Why
you.
me? Yes, I'm saying this to myself. What is wrong with you? Why didn't you do this? Yeah. So
I'm going to guess, and we'll talk about NLP next.
Oh.
I'm going to guess you're a mix matcher.
yes.
Yeah. So this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
We're going to build this distinction here because as a mismatcher, right?
Well, yeah, and you and I both know why my brain goes there.
I'm a mismatcher too.
Yeah.
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 Super controlling that way, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. So we'll come back to that, that concept if we're going to open up that loop for somebody that's listening to the show. And we're going to talk about in this journey, you're working for what, $20 an hour as an assistant?
Yes. So I've left the other corporate job.
Yeah.
And now I finally hit 66 and I'm drawing Social Security and I'm working for a lady doing some admin on the side.
And you were frustrated. You were frustrated.
That is a really calm word. I don't think that comes close to explaining what I was.
Well, and I remember
I was beyond frustrated.
Frustrated. And what I know about you from the moment, like one of the first couple times that I met you is that you're a leader.
Yes.
You're capable. You're strong. You've got it.
Yes.
You've got it. And you kept putting yourself in disempowering, more or less abusive relationships.
Yeah.
So there was a belief in there
that this was all I could do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then I'd been laid off, and then I'd gone to another job that wasn't working out. I didn't want to go back into a 9-to-5 in an office, and I knew I didn't. So I started accepting, okay, so this will work for me because I can do this from home. I don't have to go to an office. And so I accepted less than what I knew I was capable of.
Yeah. Who can relate?
Oh.
Who can relate?
Yes.
And the world doesn't have a conversation right now. You're leading the charge in this, Denna. I'm giving it to you. You're leading the conversation that life starts at 66.
Life starts whenever you get ready and say, my life is starting now.
That's right. And you've had some health challenges.
I have.
Yeah. And you were schlepping. That was the word that you used.
Oh, I
remember
love that
you
word
telling me that.
Yes, I was schlepping. And let's go back to my nonprofit years because I was schlepping for nonprofits as well. Even though as an executive director, you spend 60, 70 hours at work because you're doing events. And so nonprofits typically don't have the budget to be able to pay for everything that they need. So they bring in volunteers. If you don't get enough volunteers, guess who's doing the schlepping? So I have been schlepping for years. And now when I don't go to a corporate job, I'm still schlepping shit into it.
Schlepping, and just pissed off and frustrated.
And injuries and backaches and, and age related, because as much as I believe that it's never too late and you're never too old, our body does get old and we're not quite as capable of physical things at times that we expect to do.
Yeah. So, I'm sure that's frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. My shoulder hurts right now.
Yeah.
In this moment, my shoulder hurts. It's frustrating.
And you're not schlepping, but your shoulder hurts.
I'm not. You move a certain way. And
shit happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this like buildup for you coming into becoming a coach where you had just had enough.
Yes.
You had just had enough. And I remember us talking about it. And I could, in the same role that I was in, I could see you in that role. You have a master's degree. Yes. You've been an executive director. Yes. You have tons and tons of professional experience. You've been a coach.
And I was faculty for University of Phoenix.
I know.
Let's not forget that either.
No, I know. You had been a faculty.
So I have been teaching. I have done curriculum. Yes, exactly.
So for me, I just saw you in front of a room. Like, why are you not, this is my question, watching you go through this experience, and I was close to you, not close as we are now. Why are you not running the show? Why are you not in front of the room?
Right.
When did that land for you? When did that click for you?
Well, it was clicking for me all the time because I kept saying, I can do this. I know I can.
Yes.
However, the person that I was working for didn't
see
see
it.
that value in me and discounted. And I would, and I would ask questions, and I was promised, oh, we'll get you there. We'll get you there. And it never, ever happened. So the frustration kept building and building and building as the self-esteem keeps going down and down and down.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So here, you're in this negative cycle again.
Yes.
But you're starting to see things so much differently with your money.
Yes.
Where all of the roads started to go toward a certain direction.
Did.
And you were like, you know what? I can do this.
Yeah.
And you decided to become a money coach.
I did.
And then shortly after that, you made one of the biggest investments of your lives. Can you talk about that? So I just want to let's go back to this. So you're 71 today in this moment, in this interview. And 5 years ago, you started on this new journey, and it was just 2-3 years ago.
Yes.
We're working together. You're getting clear on your money. You're starting to understand, like, you're super frustrated. You're not happy where you are. And then you find this program, and you made the biggest investment that you've ever made, other than to get your master's degree.
I did. Yeah.
But the difference is, for this program, you paid for it.
It was cash. I had to pay cash.
You paid cash for it.
I did.
That's a big,
really big deal.
Yeah. How did you do that?
So there were 2 phases to that. One of the things that happened is I went to an event downtown that some friends had said, we need to go see this, because I'm on this journey. So not only am I on the journey with the money, but I'm on the journey for self-discovery as well. And so we go there. The whole time I'm walking in, I'm not spending money. I'm not spending money. I'm not spending money. Because I have my tracker. I'm not spending money.
Yeah.
So I walk in the room, and there is a lady in the room that I have the utmost respect for. I've known her for years, just have this incredible appreciation of who she is. And I'm like, God damn it. So I pay for that one.
How much was it?
So the first one was $1,500.
And that was for your practitioner.
For my NLP practitioner course.
Neurolinguistic programming practitioner certification. Okay. Yep.
So I paid it, and it's paid, and I'm ready to go. But then, just like I do a whole lot of things, I put it off and I put it off and I put it off. So I didn't make it to the actual training until, I want to say, June of 2021. So I've been working with you, and I'm shadowing you, and I'm doing money coaching, but I don't make it to this practitioner course until 2021, June 2021.
And then from there, you continued to invest, and you are now a master practitioner.
Yes, but there's a story with that.
Okay.
So when they introduced the master practitioner course, and there's this huge discount if you sign up then. And I went home and I decided I'm going to sign up. And then on the way there, because now I'm still doing admin, and I'm still working with you. So I'm doing 2 things. I get a call on my way there that just kind of rocks my world, because there were some dynamics that were going on that were not good dynamics. I remember sitting in my car in the parking garage crying, saying, what makes you think you can pay $9,000 for something? And what makes you think that you are worthy of this? Lisa, it was the most I am sobbing. I'm in tears. I am so just not buying into this. And I don't know if it was divine intervention, whatever you want to call it, but something just hit me. It's like, fuck, you are worth everything that you decide you want to do. So I got myself pulled together, got out of my car, walked down the hallway, walked in, and signed up right then and there.
Good for you.
So it took me 6 months to pay for it.
But you did it.
But I did it, and I paid for it in 6 months. Had I not learned how to track my money and learned where my money was and where I had areas that I could shift, I would have never been able to do that. So I paid it off. Then I get into the master practitioner course, and I was only there the first week, and I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that as soon as I walked out of that class, I was done.
Yeah.
With the admin job.
Yeah. Wow. I just want to pause there and acknowledge you.
Thank you.
That in your mid-60s.
Yes.
This is a moment in your car. Sobbing.
Total breakdown.
Who are you? Who are you?
Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are? And you lean in and you make one of the biggest investments of your life. You pay it off over. So total at that point, you're in $10,000, over $10,000.
Yeah, about 10,500.
Yeah. Someone needs to hear this today. If you're listening to this show right now and there's someone that you love that is in their 60s or 70s or 50s, share it out to them. Share this clip out to them and say, hey, you're worth it.
Yes.
You're worth it.
And remember that I didn't think that I had the money to invest in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I took the first weekend with you, and you remember that was a big decision for me to do that.
Yeah.
And I asked you if I could do payments and you did. Then before I went to the practitioner course, I had sought out another coach that I was paying much more than I thought that I could do. I think I was paying $350, $375 a month for that. But I did it. So I did that and took the practitioner course and then took the master practitioner course. What I want people to hear is when you decide you're worth it, you will find a way.
Mm-hmm.
You will find a way to make that happen.
When you decide you're worth it.
When you decide that you are worth the investment.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So today you're a master practitioner in
am.
neurolinguistic programming. For those of you who don't know, I'm also a master practitioner in neurolinguistic programming.
You are.
Thanks to Denna, she introduced me to the practice of it and the certification program that I am in currently. And it's been life-changing as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of coaches out there who are not certified as coaches.
Right.
And this is a certification that helps people get out of their own way.
Yes.
Understand who they are and what their meta programs are, how our brain operates, and how we can transform those things so we can transform a not worthy conversation into a worthy conversation. I've had huge breakthroughs throughout the course of my training, and I know this has been life-changing for you. So just to close the loop on the mismatch piece of it, that are, there are certain people who are matchers, there are certain people who are mismatchers.
Yes.
Denna and I are both mismatchers, which means that we were born to be entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Because we don't follow people's systems and programs.
We don't follow the rules.
Which is why certain things like budgets don't work for me. You can't give me something and expect me to follow it from A to Z. It's just not going to work. I'm going to want to do it my own way.
Which is also why sometimes we end up in these predicaments because it's like, no, I can do this. And then you're like, well, maybe I should listen. But I'm still going to do it my own way.
Yeah. I'm still going to do it my own way, which is why entrepreneurs really love our curriculum.
Yeah.
And that it's flexible and it's less rigid. So just another reason why you may want to work with Denna is that she knows how to help you set up systems that work for you and appreciates what it means to actually be a mismatcher because she's just going to do it her own way.
Yeah.
And now we're in responsible conversations. We want our clients to be in responsible conversations of let's just see how this works out for you.
Yeah.
So to bring the show to a close, let's talk about all the amazing things that you've been able to create for yourself in the last 4 years. As a result of that as a result of investing in yourself. Share with the audience what your life is like today.
So my life is so incredibly different today. So the first thing that I wanted to do, and this happened when I was laid off at 65 without a plan B. My son was living in Washington. My daughter-in-law was having a baby.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can they be in Washington? And how can I get up there to see those kids? Because again, I'm looking at money and I'm in a panic. So last summer, I was able to go to Washington and stay there for 2 months, solid. But now when I go up, I don't just stay for a week. I actually go up and stay for long periods of time because I've built a life where I can make money without having to go to a building or to a 9-to-5.
Because you work for yourself now.
Because now I work for myself. So that's the number one thing. So let's start with that one. That was the first dream come true. The second dream come true was going to Zambia, which is in Africa for anybody who wants to know, which is a 30-hour plane ride there and a 30-hour plane ride back. And it was life-changing. It was absolutely unbelievable. Just got back from there in July. I just signed up for a cruise in November next year.
Where are you going?
Well, it's a dancing cruise.
Yeah.
So we're going to Cabo. There's 3 ports that we go to.
Okay.
But I'm the dance. Dancing is my enjoyment.
Yeah.
That's my sport. That's what I like to do in my spare time. So it's a dancing cruise. And I have just decided that there will be somewhere that I will go every year. Oh, and I'm going to Toronto in April to AFP Icon because I'm on the AFP board. So many things in my life have changed. No longer do I live with that anxiety. I don't wake up with anxiety. I've got a plan. I've got buckets of savings where when something happens, like my car that breaks down, I have money to fix it.
You do.
Yeah. So, yeah. Which just happened last weekend.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it did.
We anyway, you can tell that story on your social media channel.
Yeah, I don't need to worry about that one because it's taken care of. So, yeah.
I love you so much, and I love your journey so much, and I love the fact that when women come to my company and our world, that they can see that whatever age that life is possible. You're such an you're the coach that I needed, that I didn't know that I needed.
Yes.
When I was going through my journey, I wish I would have known that I could have hired you. So just letting, other women know we need mentors.
Yes, we do.
And where it may be different in other money communities, in our community, you are safe, you are seen, you are heard. And you're being coached by someone who gets it because we've been through it.
Yeah, because we've been there.
We've been there.
And it's a scary place to be. Yeah.
And you can and you will get through it. And there are ways to do that. We're just not going to tell you that there's a right way and a wrong way, that there is your way. And we're going to help you discover that and figure that out. That's the power of working with a coach.
Yes, it is.
That a trained coach, a great coach, knows how to pull it out of you, knows how to ask the right questions, and give you systems and tools so that you can see your money, you can look at it, you can interpret it, you can make decisions.
Right.
What do you want so Denna works with women of all ages.
I do.
You are passionate working with people older than 50. I'm going to give you the floor for a minute or two, however long. What do you want the person who's going to hire you to hear today?
What I want them to hear is they can make this happen. And for me, it doesn't matter whether you make $20,000 or you make $220,000. Or if you're 25 years old and you're just starting out and you don't know where you're going. My grandson comes to me and talks to me about stuff all the time. So we've set up some systems for my grandson who's 18. So, and I've got a group of friends, and one of the things that's happened with my group of friends who range from 50 to 75, they've started asking me, so what does this mean? And they're still a little shy because when you hit 50, 60, 70, the shame that goes along with that is unbelievable. So what I want you to hear is there's no shame involved. Life happens, the economy changes, politics change, which affects the way you make money, which affects the way you live. So there's a whole lot of external stuff that happens, but internally, we can work together and get you prepared for that.
That's right.
So that it never impacts your life again.
That's right. You can work past it no matter what age you are.
Yes.
So you're never too old.
You're never too old, and it's never too late.
It's never too late. Thank you, Denna, for being here today. I know that you're going to continue to help so many people through the work that you do and because of who you are. Keep sharing your story.
Thank you.
Yep. And where can people find you?
At on my Facebook.
I didn't prepare her for this.
You didn't prepare me for this.
Go to LisaChastain.com.
Go to LisaChastain.com and
meet my team.
Yes, meet my team, and it's there.
Denna's there.
So.
She's got workshops.
Yes.
She's taking new clients. And for those of you who have joined us in this conversation today, I hope that you've been inspired, that you're leaving this podcast feeling hopeful, and continue to join us. Share with us what you like about the show, what you want to hear, who you want to hear on the show. And we'll be back next time on a new episode of Real Money very soon. Come back and listen to us.